So I'll jump in. I've got the two plays that I pulled. One of them is about, let me get the share thing going correctly here. Come on. All right, let me share the screen here. Okay, so this is, I think most of you will find this play fairly amusing, but the moral of the story is to make sure you have good conversations with your chain crew. It's imperative that they know that when play comes to them, they need to drop the box and get out of the way. And I think that's something that I don't spend a lot of time with because I expect guys to know that. And this is one of the this is a play that taught me that I needed to do better than that. So, you know, if that guy with the box would have just dropped the box, I wouldn't have run up against it, and then I wouldn't have got clipped by the defender because I'm pretty agile, as you can tell. But there's always also the lesson to make sure you finish the play like I did on that. So I thought we would start that off with something a little lighter. The other play I wanted to show is a fairly unusual play. Downloading. Computer's giving me trouble today for no reason. The other play I wanted to talk about was block out of bounds, because I hadn't had any play like that since the rule changed a couple of years ago. It's gonna be one of those days. All right, this might work. Can you see the play? Anybody?
Yes, I can.
Great.
Yes, we're good.
Good. All right. So pup play. You know, sorry about the delay here. Not a wide formation, but obviously we know the deeps are going to be on the two guys that we would consider to be the gunners in this particular formation. But as the play develops, you can't really see a lot on the TV feed, but I'll skip ahead here because this will make sense. We have a flag. We have a flag down for blocking out of bounds. Skip ahead. Play. And if there are any deep wings on the call, they might want to be able to talk more about when the switch happens on this play. But right here, is the deep wing staying with this guy right now, or is he switched to this threat?
The guy at the 44 is not threatening anybody.
Sure, I suppose that's true. So are you here? Still? If you're
maybe at the 48.
This guy?
Perhaps.
Because I see this, what happens is I see this block come, and this guy gets forced out of bounds. And this draws my attention because he's out of bounds. I got my hat off. And then this guy comes in for an unnecessary hit and just cleans out this guy. He's real excited about it. You might find this hard to believe, but they didn't win that game, the team in white. But you can see that guy clearly goes out of his way to initiate that block. So I don't know if there's Bill, you mentioned switching to this threat here because you're not really worried about this guy getting down and making a tackle, right?
Agreed. But it's not a specific gunner that the deep wing is keyed in on. It's pretty much the first threat down on his side of the field.
Okay. But this obviously drew my attention from the line of scrimmage because I don't have anything else going, and I don't expect that the deep guy is looking over here with the action going this direction, even though this happened to be a fair catch. So it's just a situation where be alert for unusual things, and that the second guy coming across the field like this from in the field of play really drew my attention. It was something that I was a little bit more attuned to, so I just stayed with it to get that foul. Questions about that play? All right, Steve, which one do you want first?
You can put on the free kick play from Buffalo. I believe it's the first one. Yeah, this here just to set the tone before you start up, Nick. This is the opening kick of the third quarter. Just kind of want everybody to kind of watch their positions. There's an obvious foul that's going to take place at the about the 31 yard line or so. We don't really want to talk about that right now, although that is pretty big here. But that's not really the purpose of the teachable moment here. It is if you're an umpire and the zone you should be looking at. Obviously, it's something I missed, but this was something that happened on this play, and we really didn't find out about it until 2 weeks afterwards, meaning none of us caught it on film, none of the graders caught it. It was the opposing coach who actually sent it in, and then 2 weeks after the game, we were informed of this here. So let's just watch the play. If you're a short wing or a referee, if you're either a lineman or a headline judge or a line judge, just watch the play from your position, how you would handle this, and if you're any way involved with replay, how you would involve this as well. It's a kickoff to start the third quarter. Got kind of a not really close game, but just something that just happened here. So yeah, just let it play out and let's see if we can pick up what happened on this play. Yeah, we'll ignore about the 30-yard line to pull over and takedown, but just kind of note what happens at the end of the play. I realize it's kind of a little choppy here, but ends up at about what, the 37-yard line or so. Yeah, we go to the coach's sideline view here. Just watch this play through. And just watch the short wings kind of cover the play. Kind of ends up at the 37. See the line judge at the bottom. The head linesman come up there. And then we'll see it on the this shot here. It kind of gives the end zone view, although you can't really tell the yard line. You can see the reverse pullover takedown that I missed because I was I was concerned with the potential what do you call it, wedge block. I took my eye off of the action that I should have been involved with in the zone between the numbers and the hash. And just for that second, that's all it took, and I missed the pullover block, but that's not why we got this play up. But now if we go to the next play here, look where we're snapping from here. If you just hold it there, Nick, the snap of that second play. Right here, we're at the 43-yard line. Did anybody notice where the play ended, the free kick? It ended at the 37, yet the next snap is from the 43. How in the world can something like this happen in a game where they gain 8 yards on a kickoff after the ball was down? Yeah, like I said, we never saw it on film. Graders didn't see it. What happened was the opposing coach sent it in. If we go back to that kickoff, we'll notice that as the head line judge at the top of the screen is coming up the field, he has the spot, but what happens is he kind of gets turned around with players coming in, and the line judge at the bottom of the field, at the bottom of the screen, holds the spot, but then all of a sudden he just walks away as the head line judge at the top kind of gets spun around. Instead of getting on his 020, he could say, I got the spot at the 37. So that was it was something we didn't even know happened until it was brought to our attention 2 weeks later. I mean, you can see at the end of this play, the head linesman or head line judge come in. He gets turned around with players, and instead of holding his spot, he kind of drifted around, and then the center judge and got the ball and kind of put it down where he was standing at about the 43. So, I mean, there's a number of things from a teachable moment that, replay could have gotten involved in this and set it right, although we shouldn't rely on replay. This is really on the 8 of us on the field here. Line judge, I felt, should have held his spot and got on his communication device and said, we're at the 37. Why are you moving right here? The end of the run was at the 37. So we ended up giving them an extra 8 yards on this here where we shouldn't have. So it's pretty embarrassing, but as a crew, everybody missed this here. Any thoughts on how we could have prevented this other than what I've said already?
I think from a replay perspective, obviously replay is not going to page you to fix it, but I would hope that replay might, if they saw an egregious error like that, might pipe up over the 0-2-0. But
yeah,
I don't know how you can. That's just a tough miss. I don't know how we missed that.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, and talking with the head lines person, he was saying that, just switch sidelines. He knew the teams were changing. He didn't, he knew where the spot was. He thought he was getting there, but then as everybody came on the field, he got spun around. And, that can sometimes happen. But then you do have the cross field mechanics where the line judge on the other side, I think on one of the views, you did see he holds the spot and he holds it for a good 3-4 seconds. And then he just gives up and goes to where the line judge or the linesman ended up. So it's like, you got it there, you're coming up. Here, you can see him holding at the 37, but then he conceded to where the head linesman ended up at the 43 where the next snap was. I think by him kind of pirouetting and getting turned around and really not getting to the spot and holding firm, he kind of lost it himself. And in the meantime, the center judge and umpire were converging on the spot. We just kind of went off where he was because, we're the front four on that really don't have a depth perception of where the runner ended up at that point. But that was something that was brought to our attention 2 weeks later when the visiting coach brought it into the office, and Bob Wagner kind of contacted both the short wings and said, how could something like this happen? And then that was the first we heard about it. We never even saw it on film. So just a good point there to, I agree with what Nick said. Replay probably could have got on the 0-2-0 and said, guys, what are you doing? It's at the 37, and nobody would have known the difference. We went back there. So something to keep in mind for the future, but I thought a teachable moment that'd be good to share.
All right.
And we go to the next play, Nick. This is I think I heard Bill's voice on the phone. This was a follow-up from the last time we did this here. We had a play early in the first quarter. Quarter is kind of involves quarterback pass fumble and with a replay here. Just let this play out and we'll see what happens. We have a 1st and 10 from the 36 early in the first quarter. I believe it's the first down play. Team in white was driving the ball. So let's just let this play out and kind of talk what happens here. Umpire obviously had a tip signal, so we had a forward pass here. Defender picked it up, didn't hear no whistle. They did what they're taught to do, carried the ball around. I had a tip signal. Referee did not have a whistle. Line judge, if you see the look on his face at the top of the screen, he kind of had a concern. Why didn't anybody blow that dead? Talking with this play afterwards with the referee, when I came over to the pile, the line judge definitely had a forward pass. I had a forward pass on this. The referee admittedly said that he was screened on this one by the one defender that came in, and he wasn't sure if the ball was fumbled or if it was a pass, because the one lineman there, 54, who came in at the end, kind of obscured his view. When the grader kind of looked at this play, he was understandably with the referee. He did concede that the referee was kind of preoccupied where it would have been pass fumble, but he was kind of screened by the one defender. He was really all over me as an umpire why I didn't blow that play dead when I had a tipped, obviously had a tipped pass. one, it's I'm never going to get into a call with the referee when it's, you know, his call on quarterback pass or fumble, because if I had blown that play dead and it was a fumble, you know, replay, we could have gone back, given it to the defense, but I'm not gonna be the pioneer in that case who's going to be the first one to blow that dead. So just thoughts on this play here from a teachable moment. We let it play out, and we did correct it in replay to an incomplete pass. Now, the only thing that was glaring out of this here was that number 6, I think it was number 6, had to come out of the game for one play, or 43 it was. Whoever lost his helmet had to come out for one play. And our line judge was absolutely livid that we were sending the kid out for a play, because that never should have happened. So he kind of was sidetracked on that for the rest of the first quarter, how we can let that kid go out. But it's not our fault, and we don't care how his helmet came off. It came off during play, so he had to go out. So just wanted to share that with you and get some thoughts on that, maybe from a referee or umpire or line judge. The line judge knew it was a forward pass. I knew it was a forward pass, but neither of us blew it dead, because that's always the referee's responsibilities. So I just want to get some thoughts on that.
Yeah, I agree. You know, this goes back to that play I showed a couple weeks ago from Northern Illinois. You know, this is a little different because the line scrimmage guy seems a little bit more sure this was a pass. But yeah, we're not. If it's close and there's contact on the quarterback, I'm not going to be the guy that sticks my neck out and makes that incomplete pass. So
yeah, that's kind of how I felt as well. Even though mechanically I knew it was, but you know, there is a chance that maybe it was something with a fumble that I didn't see. And immediately after the play, Dave came right up to us and said he was screened and he did not know what happened on the play. And that's when I said to him, I had a forward pass, I had it tipped. He said, well, that's what we kind of went with. We reviewed it in replay, reviewed it in replay and did give it back to the offense where it was 2nd and 10. So it was ruled correctly, but it was kind of a ugly scenario until we got the confirmation from replay. So I just wanted to share that with the group as well. So thanks for listening.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay, that's all I had. Just 2 plays this time.
All right.
I have a technical question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did his helmet come off during the course of play?
It looked.
If that's a dead ball situation.
You mean if it gets reversed and it becomes a dead ball situation?
Yeah, if we're saying that's a forward pass incomplete, and then whatever happens after there, nothing matters unless it's a personal foul. Is that technically? I'm just asking because I don't know the answer.
That's a good question. I would suspect that. I mean, I would think that the only thing that we really ignore, it seems to me, are the 5 and 10 yard fouls.
Right. I mean, I think the way it's worded in the rule book, if it comes off during play. Now this here, yeah, it was a dead. I guess it'd be a dead ball or what, but we didn't have any way of knowing that during the action. So we, after the subsequent action, after the tip pass, and it was picked up as a possible fumble or what. So we assumed that was a live ball play. But it does raise a good question. So if it comes off during dead ball, like it was if we reverse it, does he still have to go out for a play? Yeah, I off the top of my head, I don't know the answer to that right now. Maybe that's where the line judge was all hung up on this here.
That's a good question. Maybe I'll do some digging and see if I can't find an answer. I suspect that the only thing that we're really supposed to ignore are the 5 and 10 yard penalties and enforce all the personal fouls and unsportsmanlike conducts is dead ball, but I'd be interested to get an answer on that. I'll see what I can find.
We didn't have a foul, just to clarify, we didn't have a foul on this play where his helmet came off. It was one of those things where it just came off as a result of being tackled or whatever happened in the pile. But you can see it clearly come off before the tackle is made. You can see it pop off here if you run it through from this point, Nick. You can see it pop off while the supposed action was going on. Nobody ripped it off or anything like that. It just came off after he was hit.
Well, the spirit of it seems to be, I was just looking through, the rationale is because it's important for it to be fitted well. And so it seems like the spirit should be, if it came off even in play that would have been dead, like you still aren't buckled up like you're supposed to be. The sitting out of play is kind of a penalty for not having your equipment on right. So it seems like the spirit, I haven't found anywhere yet that says it explicitly, but it seems like the spirit is they still should come out for a play because they still weren't wearing their helmet correctly.
You know, that's a great point. Yeah, I'd have to dig into the rule here and see what it is. But I know it says during, I believe there's a reference to during play in there, and technically I guess that's what it was here, but if it doesn't say live ball or dead ball or reversal or whatever. So yeah, it's a good point to, yeah, we'll have to get an answer on this.
All right, Amy, if you want to share your screen, you're up.
Sure, give me just 1 second here. Let me get XOS. Okay. I think this should be good. Everyone can see it okay? Yeah, okay.
So far.
So how are we on time? Oh, I've got plenty of time. Okay, so I have a couple plays since I didn't contribute anything last time we did this. So I have quite a few teachable moments. So this one, so I'll just play it through and then I'll talk about why. Okay, so what the action in question here is going to be, I believe it's on the second receiver in, third receiver in. So it's this action right here, and had a couple. So basically on this play, I threw a flag for OPI, and we ended up picking up the flag on the grounds that you can see it a little bit better from the next camera angle. So I'll just play this through real quick, and then you can take a look at it from the next camera angle. And we ended up picking up this flag. So the angle, this one gives us a bit of a better angle at it. And the end zone gives us a different angle at it. Well, no, end zone actually doesn't give us much. Sorry about that. Okay, so in terms of so this was graded as a correct pickup, and I had several phone calls with people afterwards because when I saw this on film, I kind of liked it as a flag, and I kind of thought that I shouldn't have picked this up. And I guess to start with, so the rationale for picking up this flag was that that the defensive player had slid into. So let me go back one. That the defensive player slid into this contact here, which he is. And what I wish I had said at the time when I went in and talked, so I had a conversation with Short Wing on this, and he told me that the defensive slid in and we needed to pick up the flag, and it was my first game of the season, and I went, okay, we'll pick it up. You said that very confidently. And what I wish I had said was, like, can we talk about exactly why? Because yes, the defense did slide in here, but the offense keeps driving through. And if I had brought that information in, and I talked to Dino about this, our position coach, that I thought that should still be a foul because, I mean, he keeps going. Does the defense, a little bit of slide on the defense just buy the offense out of anything here? And that was the conversation that didn't happen here. And so I think kind of the teachable moment from this is just being a little bit more explicit when we have any kind of a flag pickup, about like, tell me exactly why we're picking up that flag. Because I think if I had said, no, he keeps driving through, I want to stick with it, I would have been supported there. And I do think, looking at the film, I do think we should have stuck with this flag. But we just didn't have that conversation all the way through that we should have been having here. So anyone have thoughts?
Yeah, I see why you want that to be a foul. I don't necessarily disagree with you either. I think that it certainly looks like it's there. I understand why they wanted to pick up, and I think this is a good illustration for those of us as we start to advance our careers, depending on how things are graded. You know, if I'm coming to Amy and want her to pick the flag up, from a grading perspective, I own the decision we make, right? So, like, Amy's no longer wrong if I tell her to pick the flag up, but if that may be good for Amy from a grading perspective, it may not be good for the game and good for the crew. So those are things you have to start to put into balance.
Well, this is a lesson I sure thought I had learned a few years earlier when we had a situation this was a GLIAC game where I had a flag for a face mask on. It was a pass play. The defender grabbed the receiver's face mask, pulls the face mask, helmet comes off. I throw a flag. And then the old GLIAC replay of somebody looked at it on the Jumbotron and said, we don't want that. So we go have a conversation. And meanwhile, in my O2O, I have somebody coming over saying, we want to pick that flag up. Or we don't want to foul there. And so I go, shit, well, he must have seen something I didn't see. It sure looked like a face mask to me, but he's looking at the screen over the shoulder there, and he doesn't think we want it. He thought I was calling pass interference, and there was no early contact. The pass interference wasn't the question. And by not exactly explaining what did I have a flag for and why did he think we needed to pick it up, we end up picking it up. And then after this is all said and done, we make our announcement. And then I say, well, if we don't have a flag, then the player needs to come out for a play because his helmet came off, at which point our whole crew kind of goes, oh, fuck, didn't realize didn't realize what happened, or we were having conversations past each other. And so this is, like I said, I kind of thought I had learned to be like super explicit, and clearly I still have some room to grow on that, because this was a time where, I still think this is a foul, and my position coach, like he thinks this is a foul if the reason I called it was because he kept driving. And so that was just one of those situations where, because we weren't as explicit about the communication, we didn't get to the answer that I think was best for the game. Like, yeah, it was fine in terms of my grading. Like I I wasn't in trouble for this play, but I don't think we wanted to score here. I don't think that I think this results in a touchdown, and it shouldn't have been. So yeah, I think it was just one of those situations where being a little bit more explicit about what exactly do you have and why do you think it shouldn't be a flag, or why do you think it should be a flag, could have avoided this problem.
Good point.
Okay. So this next one, this one's a mess. So there's going to be, this is one of these plays where it should have been dead a long time before it was dead. So I'll let it play. There's going to be possibly a catch fumble, but it shouldn't have been. So I'll just let this one play. Give a slightly better, broader angle look here. So we eventually end up ruling, so replay took a look at it. We eventually end up ruling that this was an incomplete pass, not a catch fumble. And part of the problem, so I mean, I think, you know, if we don't know for sure, letting the play go is not the end of the world. But the issue here was that for me, I just didn't rule anything. And so letting this play go rather than throwing a beanbag and saying, you know, I think we have a catch fumble. We can always go back if replay can overturn that. But because I didn't have a clear look at the ball on this situation, I just didn't make any ruling either way. And the feedback that I got on this was that you know, we need to have a call that we're making here, and just not ruling on it is not a great option. Which I mean, I get that, but also, you know, not knowing for sure either way, my instinct was sort of to defer to the deep wing and see if they had, and they did eventually come in and we shut it down, and replay confirmed that, or let it stand anyway. But that ended up being the call that we went with. But we got a lot of comments from the graders on this about, you know, slow down. What are we ruling? We need to make a call and be sure about it. And so. Yeah, I guess I think if I had it to do over again, I would probably throw a beanbag, just because if I'm not killing it, then I'm at least sort of ruling that it was a catch fumble. But at the same time, you know, I wasn't sure either way. I just didn't have a good look at the ball. It wasn't opened up to me. So I would love anybody's thoughts on how to handle this, because I mean, it's messy, it looks bad, but I wouldn't necessarily want to come in and kill it right away just because it probably was an incomplete.
I think since you're, you know, working with replay, I think letting it play out was the right move. But I know you ended up coming back in with a runner down. If you were, I guess this is tough because ultimately replay reversed it. Were you sure you were certain that the runner was down? I take it.
No, so that was after, once I think by the time you see me pointing down, I'm trying to remember exactly the conversation that we had, but I think I was just kind of conveying that information to other officials on the field. Gotcha. I didn't know for sure what we had either way.
Well, then I think you did the right. I think letting it roll was the right move.
From a mechanics perspective, I can definitely see where people were noting, like, I got note the nervous movement of the right hand. I can see where that needs to go away, of not being sort of going for my beanbag, but not being sure. But yeah, it's one of those, just kind of adjusting to having replay and thinking, like, you know, when I might come in with a non-replay game with a ruling either way. It's different with replay.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, let me jump down to, okay. Oh, I found some doozies for these guys. Okay, so this one is, get to where you can see the formation. Well, you can't see the formation at all here. Here we go. Okay, so it's a weird formation. And there is also some illegal action. So just in terms of the formation, I don't honestly know that I'd seen a 4-receiver bunch like this before on the field. And so in theory, I should have the inside 2 guys as back judge. Short wing's gonna have the back, and then the outside guy's gonna be the deep wing. And so, as you probably all saw, this action here is both illegal and unsafe. And so it was one where just, you know, really, I didn't have eye discipline here. I saw people starting to come out, and I kind of went off of this receiver, just wasn't expecting him to take this dive here. Did have this coming up. We have another suspect block right here. I do think the contact there does start above the waist, even though it very quickly gets below the waist. And we were supported on not calling this. But out of 3 of us who had eyes on this initial play, none of us got that. So it's a good, it will not happen again. And they did try this later on in that game. We did catch it the second time around, but it was sort of a weird play, weird formation, and none of us, mostly me, but none of us had eyes where they needed to be to pick up that play right there.
Hey, quick question, Amy, especially
Yes, sir.
to a play like this. Is Sam, if you didn't know.
I recognize you.
Oh, okay. Did you guys review this play in your pregame? Because usually during some pregames they have, hey, has this play been seen before, or was this something that surprised you?
So it surprised us.
Okay.
The crew, I think I could go back and check from what our pregame looked like. I think this was with an R who didn't really want to do a lot of scouting. So, some referees don't necessarily want us to be scouting the teams too much in advance. And I don't think we did a lot of scouting in advance for this. I know I looked at kick plays a little bit, just because I like to have an idea what I'm coming into, but we didn't do a lot of scouting of these teams. And I don't know. This was the only time I had them this season, so I don't know if this was something they did. They did it twice in one game, so possibly this was towards the end of the season. This was maybe the second to last week, and so it was also the point where we were starting to see a lot of squirrely plays that the special teams coach had been wanting to run all season, and finally this was his last chance, so they were going to run a weird kick play. I don't know if this was something they'd been running all season, and we could have avoided it if we'd scouted a little bit on this kind of play, but we did not know this was in the repertoire in advance.
No worries. Hey, Nick, I think I saw Flannery on here, and then Nathan Elliott's on here as well. What are your feelings on scouting? Do you guys and your crews do it, in depth, or do you guys just skim the film to see if there are some trick plays that they got up their sleeve like this?
Well, I've worked with different referees, have different philosophy. The referee I worked with in the Valley is a bit of a control freak, type A personality. And
he's not even here to hear you say that.
Yeah, well, that's on him. He will scout every single play, and I was doing some of that because I was responsible for scouting the visitors, I believe, generally when I was with him. Our current referee, we do a little bit of scouting, but mostly for just look quickly through the film. Do you see any unusual formations? Bring us the kick plays so we know about the numbering exceptions. I like to know what I'm getting involved in because I would like to know something like this, and I'll come back to this play in particular here in a bit. But that's kind of the philosophy that I have. I also have a lot of time to scout during the week, so that's something I would enjoy doing.
Crews, Sam, to answer your question, crews that I've been on, in the past 3-4 years, we've always assigned somebody to do the scouting on both the home and visitors. So a good chance that we would see something like this, but I know I had, Amy said this was Western late in the year. I had them about the early in October, that clip I showed before. They didn't run anything like this here, but they did a lot of weird stuff last year. I noticed in scouting them for a game I had up at North Dakota State, I think it was the same week, they did something that was weird against North Dakota State the week before that I picked up on film. Why they were actually on offense running a play from about the minus 45. Why they snapped the ball, they were actually running in another offensive player 20 yards behind the play to get them set up for the next play I caught on film. So it's just when you're scouting, you just got to have an open eye for anything you see, because that's something I picked up. And the coach actually, the coach from the North Dakota State actually asked us about that play, and I told him that we did scout it and picked it up, and it should have been an illegal substitution or what. So, I mean, they were just trying to get in hurry-up mode so they can get another play off for the to get North Dakota State kind of napping on defense. It was really an illegal substitution because they had 12 on the field while the play was live. But nobody saw it because it was 20 yards behind the play and going away from the direction that the guy was coming on the field. So, yeah, weird stuff like this just kind of jumps out. doing your scouting, you should see something like this here.
Amy?
If that
Yeah.
helps, but it just kind of depends on the referee too. I mean, yeah, there are some who don't like to do scouting, and yeah, this would be one of those. It'd be nice to know this beforehand if they run a formation like this, because a formation like this here, I mean, this was, I believe, a second down play, which is legal if they have 5 numbered to 50 through 79. But if it's a third or fourth down play, it's, you know, could be a little bit different there. So those were the thoughts when I saw this that was going through my mind on this play. I immediately saw it was second down. I figured that guy on the inside was a lineman, and yeah, sure enough, he was when the play went off. But yeah, those, just my thoughts there.
Amy, could you jump back to the formation, please?
Yeah, for sure.
Now, you called this a 4-receiver bunch, but really it's 2 receivers and 2 linemen.
Yeah.
So, as a back judge, do you treat everybody split wide, even if they're obviously on the line? Like, I guess my question is there some way to communicate that to you that those guys are not eligible, and does that even matter from a back judge perspective?
So possibly other people will have better answers than I do. Just because I have not. I mean, most of my college experience was with the same crew. The GLIAC, I was working with exactly the same guys week in, week out. And so moving up into COC games I've been supplemental crews, which means that I'm seeing all different people and I am learning so much about how different crews do things. So, I mean, in terms of, for the most part, I am not going to treat, it's not going to be community. I mean, this is just a weird setup in general. And I don't think we didn't get into the O2L. This is just a weird formation. And we didn't talk at all over the O2L about this. But a lot of times, whether someone is on or off the line, I don't know. And so, I'm going to just be counting them the same regardless. So if people are slightly staggered, I'm not distinguishing. But I do know some crews seem to communicate that. I have not, or at least not regularly, worked with people that are making that distinction. So I'm just treating them all as though they are receivers. And then I think here I probably should have gone like, oh, wait a minute. There's a lot of weird stuff about this. At the time, just kind of went, okay, so that's my strength of formation. We got 4 guys over here, and I wasn't fully processing that because, again, I mean, this wasn't a down situation that I was even kind of thinking about, like, are we going to have, do I need to be thinking about extra things? This wasn't a 4th down situation where I was really even having that thought process, which, now that I've seen this once, I will in the future. But yeah, that wasn't anything that happened on this play.
I guess my question is really more about, like, does your back judge trainer want you on those guys if they're obviously linemen? Because because we think about this from a regular, like if we're treating this like a regular formation, right?
Yeah.
Your key would be the guy that's off the line behind all those guys, right? Because we've got it's 1 wide at the top, 2 to the bottom. So you'd come to the bottom and have that guy, and I would think the line of scrimmage guy would be alert for that guard or tackle to go back in and make one of those blocks.
Yeah.
Nick,
So, go ahead.
Yeah, Nick, I would agree. And then, you got the numbering section to play into that, so that could eliminate half the conversation. But yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say she has either receiver though. I mean, it seems like they're not even a yard apart. So I would let them self-declare. Me speaking as a deep lane before I do that. But I would say that a back judge would probably say that both of us, back judge and deep, right off the line should see that block. Because what the hell else are we looking at, right? You got the defenders, they're about 10 yards back. So we have nothing but space.
Well, and this is, because I mean, generally, if we had if 2 of those guys, if we had like a diamond formation where we had 4, where we actually had 4 receivers there, I would still more or less be just zoned up on that and waiting for them to declare. So I would have kind of a wide angle on that. But yeah, I don't honestly know, though I do have a call with Dino later this week, so I could ask him. But I don't think we've ever talked about that in like a position call or anything about who's going to have eyes on that inside guy. We were told in the notes, I looked up the grading on this, and we were told this was back judge and side judge should have seen this. So presumably somebody in that process thought that should be where my eyes are initially. But yeah, I mean, nobody's pressed, and you know, I mean, and I definitely should have picked that up. But yeah, in terms of keys, I don't know if they want keyed in on someone who's not a eligible receiver.
Amy, do you remember who you were looking at on this play?
I don't. I want to say the second guy, I would guess, just because once people started moving, I want to say I stuck with these guys coming out, but I don't remember offhand. But yeah, I would guess my instinct was to follow, as the guys were starting to come down, was to follow these guys up who were heading downfield. Any other? Okay, I have one more play. If folks who are in the COC as a deep official have seen this one, because it made a lot of training tapes. But I've learned to laugh about it, so how to. So there are some mechanical things that could have done way different here, and I'll talk about once I start signaling. But what we have here is we're coming down. So the ball is going to hit the R member here in the back of the helmet. And I don't remember if we have a good replay on this. So as I'm sure everyone noticed, those signals could have used a whole lot of work on being more confident, making sure I knew what we were ruling and then ruling it strongly instead of having a lot of false starts there with the signal. But if so, yeah. So we have a fair catch signal, little bit of contact here, which was part of my problem. So little bit of contact here, not enough that I should have considered that blocked into. So we did not roll KCI on this play. We ended up giving the ball back to the kicking team since they recovered it after it touched the receiving team's helmet here, hit them back of the helmet. And so part of what went wrong here, a couple things that went wrong here, part of it is going to be my movement. So I'm going to talk just quickly on that once you get a look at it. So coming up quickly on this, coming off the goal line, coming up quickly on this doesn't help me at all. I am running at the play, don't have a good angle on what I'm ruling on, and realistically, whether or not the player is blocked into him is not really my business. You know, I'm not going to have the best look at that. I'm watching the receiver, and me thinking that he got blocked into him is part of what gets us in trouble here, because it wasn't enough, which means that it does interfere with his ability to make the catch. So we should have had a flag here for KCI. And so there's sort of a judgment issue, but also the way that I'm moving up here. Really need to take my time, stay back, and then, if need be, I can start coming up later. But being kind of on the run closing in here did not put me in a good position to make this call. So now I'm right in the middle of players. So yeah, it was again, it was a weird play, and learned a lot about movement on that. But it was one of these times where, again, communication could have gone better. And I think I have the instinct when a punt is short that, like, oh, I need to get up there on it. And that has never once put someone in a better position to be running up too much on a punt play like that. So anyone have thoughts, comments, questions? Cool. Well, I am, those were my 4 favorite of. I went through and picked put together all of the plays that wacky stuff happened on this last season, but we're about out of time. So I'm gonna turn it over.
Thanks, Amy. I appreciate it. Thanks to everybody who shared some plays tonight. I appreciate it. We don't have a presentation lined up for next week. We've got Chris Lytle is going to do a presentation on instant replay for everybody on the week of the August 2nd, but the specific date and time to be determined. I recognize we're coming down the home stretch here before the season's supposed to start, I guess. So I recognize that we're probably getting pulled in a lot of different directions, but if you have any interest in presenting at any of our other August dates, please don't hesitate to sign up or to jump on the list and sign up. I will keep the emails coming, and I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you here in a few weeks. So thanks, everybody.
Nick,
Yes.
Hey, Nick, this is
Yep.
Randy Campbell. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I was going to throw in real quick about the pass or the fumble that was ruled an incomplete pass with the helmet coming off. In the replay book and in the rule book, it just says coming off through play. And we had this play last year where replay changed it to an incomplete pass and a player's helmet came off. And when it says, when it comes off through play, they have to go out for a play. So whether a replay makes it a dead ball or not, they still have to come out.
All right. Well, I appreciate that, Randy. Thanks for that. That'll save me some time having to look it up.
It's a similar place on page 17 of the case book.
Thank
That'll
you.
help you there.
Thank you. Well, that's all I got for tonight, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your week, and hopefully I'll see you back here in 2 weeks for some replay talk. Take care.